Hey everyone, welcome to our online tutorial. Today I'll be discussing a few important factors that go into soap making. So obviously there's many things that go into soap making, and today we're just going to look at a few important ones that will probably be very helpful to learn. So we're going to take a look at 4 different topics. The topics we'll be looking at are reading a recipe, reading a formulation, reading and using a lard calculator, and working out the cost of your products. These are obviously all very important because they're all helpful tools to help you with your soap making journey. Obviously it's very important to know how to read a recipe because you're going to be looking at a recipe to make your soaps. And then when you want to customize your own recipe, you're going to need to know how to work with formulations. And then a lard calculator is just a really helpful tool when working with your ingredients and your measurements and stuff like that. It'll help you come up with new recipes, and then we'll be looking at the cost of your product because that's obviously very essential when you come in with the price of your product. That's what you take into account. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoy this informative little tutorial, and I hope it's helpful, and I hope you guys learned something from it. Enjoy! Okay, so let's chat a bit more about reading a recipe. Okay guys, so as I mentioned, this is the stuff that we will be covering in the tutorial. So these are like the different topics and stuff. So the first thing that we're going to go over is reading a recipe. So a lot of people think that because they're making bath and body products from the recipe, something different must happen. This is not the case. A recipe is a recipe. The only difference is you won't be eating your products. You'll be applying the products to your skin. Okay, so for example, we're going to chat about a body butter recipe. So in a few seconds, I'm going to put up a screen with all the ingredients for the body butter, and we'll read through that. Okay, so our ingredients are 1 litre hot dionyls water, 100 grams emulsifying wax, 200 grams shea butter, and 50 grams cocoa butter. Okay, so now that we chatted about the actual ingredients, we're going to talk about the method. So the steps we go through to make this body butter using the ingredients that we spoke about. And then over here we have the method. So number 1, melt all the ingredients together in a small stainless steel pot over low heat. Add to the hot water and commence blending immediately. So the reason I'm highlighting that these are pretty important things to remember because they will change the way you do things. Add the hot water and commence blending. Blend until the solution is smooth and well incorporated. It's optional that you can add some fragrances or essential oil, and you could also add preservatives if you want. And over here it says the above recipe is what a water recipe looks like. So this is a water recipe. You will follow the instructions as per the steps. You do not need to do any calculations. And then it says, but what if you want to change the recipe to your own liking and want to make your own quantity? So now that we've covered reading a recipe, we're going to go over how to read a formulation. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so we're going to take a look at formulations. So this is when you want to change the recipe to your own liking and make your own quantity. This is when a formulation will start beginning. This is an example. Okay, so here's an example of a formulation. You'll measure the formulation to balance to 100%. So measure formulation, balance to 100%. So formulation looks like this. Phase A, water 65%. Phase B, shea butter 20%, cocoa butter 5%, emulsifying wax 10%. So the total of all the ingredients make 100%. So when you add up these ingredients, it should make 100%. Okay, so now we're going to go to the website www.thesage.co.za. So here I will show you more about how to use and read a lard calculator. Before we do that, I just want to tell you a bit more about the lard calculator. Okay, so what is a lard calculator? A lard calculator is actually a very helpful tool for soap makers to come up with their own new recipes. Now we're going to head over to the website called www.thesage.co.za. Over here we'll take a look at lard calculators and how to check out the lard calculator online. I thought I would show you the one that I have printed out just to show you guys the layout and what's going to happen where. So this is what it's going to look like when it comes up on your screen, but obviously in screen form and not printed. So the lard calculator has all these different fields that you can fill in your required numbers and information wherever you need to, and part of it is going to be this, where you get to choose your measurements, or for example grams, of the different ingredients that you're using. So it's just really helpful because it has a really wide variety of ingredients that you can choose from. Obviously the example that we're going to do is a bit more simple, but yeah, there's so many different ingredients that you can choose and so many different helpful little options. Okay, so as you can see, we are on the Sage website. We've clicked calculators and La Calculator. So at the top of the page here, there's a bit more information about La Calculator if you do want to read through it and find out any extra information. Okay, so over here you can give your recipe a title, you can say who it was created by, you can choose your units of measure, your lye type, any other info that you want to put in. You can choose if you want to use sodium lactate and want more information or recommendations, you can click that little box. The liquid of choice you can choose. There's also a little box for your fillers, fragrances, and other notes. So I just find this really helpful because you can put in any necessary information that you will be using while making your recipe. So I really think this is a really cool tool. So if you're keen to make some recipes, I definitely think you should save the link to this website. And then as you can see, there's so many different ingredients that you can choose. You'll literally just pick the ones you want and you can put your number of measurement that you want next to it. So you can pick any of them and then put the number of grams, whichever unit of measurement you use, and you'll just pop it in next to it. You can go to the bottom and click calculate or clear form if you want to start again. Okay, so now I'm going to show you an example of our recipe that we did. So I've just named it tutorial, created by Fun with Soap. And yes, for our units of measure, we chose grams. So we'll be working with grams today. So as you can see, we haven't really filled in a lot of information, but we're just going to be choosing a few little things to show you guys an example of a recipe. So I showed you this page previously. This is just where you can add in all your information. Okay, so as an example, we're going to say we're making soap from palm oil and coconut oil, and let's say it's going to be a kg. Coconut oil is what helps lather up the soap. I just thought I'd add that in. So on the lye calculator, there's obviously so many different choices of ingredients. We're going to go with 800 grams palm oil and 200 grams coconut oil. You can see I filled that in next to the names. Obviously, whichever of these you choose, you'll just put the numbers next to the ingredient that you do choose. Okay, we're then going to go to the bottom and click calculate lye, or if you need to start again, you can say clear form. So once you click calculate, it'll take you to a new page, which is this one over here. So it has the name of the recipe, tutorial, created by Fun with Soap. That's just what we chose. Then it has some information about the liquids, so how much they recommend and a warning. It then also has a lye table, so the percentage of excess fats and the lye amount in grams, because we chose grams. There's the fats and oils, so the fat you chose, the amount in grams, and the percentage of that fat that's in the recipe. So it really is quite a clever tool, this lye calculator. So I definitely recommend that you just make sure you choose the right amount of measurement units. So like grams, just make sure you chose the right amount and the right measurements. If you don't want to use grams, there are other options. It then just has some more information about the table above, and then it has some basic soap making instructions, which I'm going to read over with you guys on a separate page. But yeah, there's just some extra information there that you guys can read over. So it just has like a disclaimer and the percentages for the lye table. But yeah, lye calculators are actually really helpful, and I definitely think you guys should just write down this website somewhere for if you ever need to get back to the lye calculator, because I think it's a really helpful tool. Okay, so now we are going to discuss the benefits of a lye calculator. It will help you know how much soap the recipe will make, therefore you can plan what mold you're going to use for your soaps. You can also resize your recipe if you want to, so this is obviously if you'd like to change the quantity. It also means your recipe, including the amounts of sodium hydroxide and liquid, is right there on your screen, which is a lot easier to access. You can also give your recipe a title on the lye calculator, and you'll print it, which is really helpful. Having your recipe printed when making soap allows you to check off the steps as you go. You can also add notes later on, like how the soap turned out in the end, if the essential oil is blended, how did the soap change color over time, and how it lathers, and other information like that. The lye calculator is especially helpful for tweaking and even creating your own recipes. We definitely recommend that you play around with the lye calculator just so that you're familiar with it and you know how to use it when you do try and tweak or even create a recipe. I really hope that going through the benefits helped you learn something new about lye calculators, and I hope you enjoyed it. It's obviously quite important to know how to use a lye calculator if you do decide to use it, but I definitely do recommend that you get familiar with it and give it a try. So once you're done with the like calculator and you press the calculate key, you'll get a screen that looks like this. I've printed mine and I circled a few things, but basically you're going to get a screen that looks like this. So this has some different levels, the percentage in the recipes, as you can see here. This is like the different levels, lye amounts. This is the fats that are contained in the soap. This is the amount of grams used and the percentage in the recipe. So that's what you'll see on your screen. Okay, so now we're going to go over some basic soap making instructions. I have a page here with some info that I'm going to chat through with you guys. And so basically we're just going to start with making the soap. So while wearing safety goggles and neoprene gloves, combine solid lye and liquid. Stir well, set aside and allow to cool to 100 degrees Fahrenheit or 125 degrees Fahrenheit. This is best done outside while you are standing upwind. So obviously if you're working in degrees Celsius, you'll just need to convert it to that, because this is just referring to degrees Fahrenheit. This will allow the bar to firm and finish the ponification. Place the bars on something that will allow them to breathe. And then we're going to look at the anticipated recipe yield. So on the website you'll actually get a little table like this, and it'll come with different options to edit the recipe, resize the recipe, new recipe, and obviously you can choose your grams, you know, stuff like that. But this is just my printed page, so it will look a bit different. So then it's going to refer back to this page over here on the website. So it says, now look at the pink and green columns on the side of the screen, which are these over here. It is recommended that you use level 5 range, which will be 142.82 grams of caustic soda. So I've circled level 5 over here. So on the website this will be the same. It will be this level 5 over here. Okay, so at the top of this page over here, it does tell you the recommended amount of liquid that you should use. So 250 to 375 milliliters of water. So we're going to choose 250. So as you can see, it's really easy to choose ingredients and calculate the lye content at the same time. So I hope that you guys really enjoyed this little tool and that you do use it when wanting to come up with new recipes. So now we're going to chat about pricing your product. Obviously when you are pricing a product, there's lots of different things that you take into account coming up with the price. One of them is the cost behind your product. So we're going to go over how to calculate the cost of your product, but for today's example we'll just be looking at ingredients and we won't be including the equipment used. So we're going to look at an example. So let's say you wanted to make some soap and they tell you that palm oil costs 57 Rand per kg and you used 800 grams, caustic soda is 36 Rand per kg and you used 142.82 grams of caustic soda, which we got from this level over here, which they told us to choose. Okay, so your first ingredient will have the following calculation. Okay, so 57 Rand, we know that because they told us how much it costs per kg. The 1000 is from the grams of our mold and 800 is from how much we used. So that's the first ingredient, and now we're going to look at the second ingredient. 36 Rand because we know that's how much it costs per kg. The 1000 because of how much the mold takes. And the 142.82 grams because that's how much we used. And then we'll come up with those prices over there. Coconut oil, it's 57 Rand per kg. So it's the 57 Rand, the 1000 because our mold takes 1000 grams, and then the 200 grams that we use, and we'll get that price over there. So to work out the total cost, you'll add all three of these prices together, and this will give you a total cost. So to figure out the total amount the product will cost, you just add the three prices together that you worked out, and then that will give you an amount. So we got 62.14, and this would make 1 kg of soap. We know that because our mold is 1000 grams, and 1000 grams is equal to 1 kg. Okay, but let's say you're making 10 bars that are 100 grams each. Then the total cost per bar will be 6 Rand 21. Okay, so that's just working out your cost of the product with ingredients. Obviously you still have to add equipment and stuff like that. When you are coming up with a price for your product, you're going to take everything into account, but that's how to work out the cost with your ingredients. So now that we know the maths, let's make a cold processed Castile soap. So we're going to look at a simple Castile recipe. So it's how to make an olive oil soap with just 3 ingredients. The recipe we're going to look at has instructions to make a natural Castile soap with the simplest ingredients. This recipe will also have tips on how to harden up the soap and how to make this olive oil soap cure faster. Olive oil or Castile soap is one of the most traditional types of soap that you can make. However, if you have made cold process soaps before, you might be a little bit alarmed about how long some of these steps do take. But I'm here to guide you through it, and hopefully you will just love this soap. Okay, so we are going to touch on soap making oils. Obviously you can basically use any oil to make soap, as they each have different properties that they bring to the soap. I'm going to list some of them on the screen. So now we're going to touch on soap making oils. Technically you can decide whichever oil you would like to use when making a soap, but just keep in mind that every oil you use does something different when making soap. So there are a few single oils that will make a perfect soap by themselves, so that's why many recipes will ask you to mix quite a few oils together when making soap. Olive oil on its own can actually make a really good bar of soap. It's nourishing, it's sensitive, and it doesn't dry your skin out. It also has a very unique lather. It doesn't have big fluffy lather like some of the other soaps do, but it's very gentle and creamy. Some people refer to it as slimy, but I think everyone just has their own preference as to what they like in a soap bar. But yes, the lather is quite unique, quite creamy, and it's gentle on the skin. So it's obviously not very well known as to when soap was invented, but one of the earliest types of soap that was made was olive oil soap. So it has quite a long history of being around. Okay, so now we're going to actually talk about the making of the olive oil soap. So as I mentioned before, it can be a bit alarming if you are a soap maker to make this olive oil soap, because the process is a bit longer. This is because it takes longer to trace, longer to harden in the mold, and longer to cure. Even though it does take long, if you prepare yourself for it, it will make it feel a lot easier. Okay, so we're going to look at the soap recipe. Okay, so I have the recipe in front of me and I'm going to read through it with you guys. So for your lye water, you're going to need 58 grams of sodium hydroxide, also called lye or caustic soda, 104 grams of water. You can use distilled water if your water is hard, in a heat-proof jug. So optional is 1 teaspoon of fine salt or sodium lactate. Then for your liquid oils, you'll just need 454 grams of extra virgin olive oil. For fragrance that aftertaste, you can use optionally 14 grams or 3 teaspoons of lavender essential oil. So for this recipe, there is some special equipment that you'll need. So I'll just read that out to you guys quickly. A digital thermometer or a temperature gun, a digital kitchen scale, a stick bracket immersion blender, and a 6-cavity silicone mold. Okay, so that was the special equipment. Now on the screen I'll place some other equipment that you'll need. about Castile Soap itself. Okay, so let's talk about natural soap making beginners. If you're new to soap making, it's good to do some research and watch some videos. So basically, like, this whole video has been informative and provided you guys with some tools and information to learn. So it's just good to know some information so that you know what to expect from your ingredients, your equipment, the cold process soap making, and just the whole soap making experience in general. Okay, so now we're going to chat about this natural soap making in steps. So step 1 is making your lye solution. Part of step 1, making the lye solution. Using a water discounted soap does a few things for the Castile soap recipe. It helps stop soda ash from forming, and it speeds up the time it takes for your soap to trace. It also reduces the cure time, so it will speed up the long process a bit more. The last reason is because there's less water that needs to evaporate out of the bars, so you can kind of really see why this will help speed up the time a bit. Okay, so more concentrated lye solution will be a lot stronger. The steam that it kicks up will be quite unpleasant to breathe in, and also if it gets on your skin, it'll burn. So it's very important to make your lye solution in a well ventilated area. So like making it outdoors, for example, would be a lot better. If you are using the optional sodium lactate or salt, you should stir it into the lye crystals now. This is an optional step, so you can choose whether you want to do this or not. You obviously do want to keep yourself safe, so while wearing some safety gear like goggles and gloves, you're going to pour the lye into the water and then you need to stir it in. So you should keep your face a safe distance away from the steam that comes up, and be prepared for the water to get very hot. Then you're going to stir until the lye solution completely dissolves, and then when you're done, you will set the jug in a basin of water. This is just to let it cool down. You want it to cool around 100 degrees Fahrenheit or 38 degrees Celsius. So whether you work in Fahrenheit or Celsius is up to you. Step 2 is warming the olive oil. You're going to warm the olive oil over a low heat, and you're going to use a stainless steel saucepan. You want the olive oil to get to about 100 degrees Fahrenheit or 38 degrees Celsius. When both the oil and the lye solution are within 10 degrees of one another, it's time to mix. So you'll just give it a mix, and then you'll take your pan off the hob and go to step 3. In step 3, we're going to chat about stick blending. So you're going to pour the lye solution through a fine mesh strainer and into the olive oil. So that's how you'll combine them, and then you'll stir it together, and then you'll use a stick blender to bring it to trace. Trace is when the soap begins thickening up to custard or runny warm pudding-like consistency. One of the ways you can do the stick blending is using short and controlled bursts of stick blending with gentle stirring as well. Step 4 is at trace. So the way you can know if you've hit trace is if you can take some of your soap batter and drizzle it over the soap and it leaves a trail. If you work at a very light trace, it will settle very nicely into your molds. A thicker trace soap can literally be spooned up and plopped into containers. If you want to put essential oils into your soap, this is a good time to do so. So when your soap is at trace, you should stir in the essential oils that you're going to be using and then pour the soap into the molds. Leave uncovered at room temperature or pop it into the fridge overnight if you wish. You need to leave the soap in the molds for at least up to 48 hours, if not even 4 days. Homemade Castile soap can take time to firm up. Step 5 is unmolding and curing. So when you feel like the soap is hard enough, you can pop it out of the molds and allow them to cure. Okay, so when we made the lye solution, we used a water discount. So this will actually make the cure time now about 4 weeks, whereas if you use a more standard amount of water in the Castile soap recipe, it can cure up to like 6 weeks. The next thing we're going to go over is customizing your soap. So when making Castile soap, you may want to customize it. So sometimes out there are Castile soaps where it's olive oil mixed with other oils, and it isn't just olive oil by itself. The reason I usually do this is to improve the lather. You can also find these soaps in different colors and scents. So when customizing your Castile soap, you can make it as colorful and scented as you want. So if you want, you can make the soap with 3 ingredients: water, lye, and olive oil. But if you'd like to add some optional lavender essential oil, this will help give it a beautiful floral scent, and the sodium lactate or salt that you add will help harden the bars. So if you would like, you can obviously get more artistic and more creative with your soap and play around and see what you would like to do with your soap, how you would like to customize it, how you'd like it to look, and how you'd like it to smell. Just remember that the natural color of the soap is yellow, so this will affect the color at the end. So your soap can also cure to a bright white color. It just depends what oil you use when making the soap. So I really hope you guys enjoyed learning how to make a Castile soap, and if you do give it a try, I hope you have a lot of fun. Okay, so now that we learned how to make Castile soap and some more information about it, I'm going to chat about the benefits of the Castile soap. Benefits of Castile soap: a gentle cleanse without the toxins, A lot of soaps use toxic sulfates to get the lather we are used to. Luckily, Castile lathers naturally with no chemicals necessary to get the lather going. It can smooth and soothe dry and irritated skin. Olive oil is rich in healthy fats that can help replenish the water levels of our skin. It's also great because it doesn't strip the natural oils from your skin. Castile soap is safe to use on sensitive skin. Castile soap is made with safe and pretty simple plant oils, so it's considered safe for even the most sensitive types of skin. Castile soap can help with oily and acne-prone skin. Olive oil is rich in healthy fats that can help replenish the water levels of our skin. What's also amazing is it doesn't strip the natural oils from your skin. Castile soap is naturally hydrating. Castile soap retains its glycerin content, while many synthetic soaps sometimes do not. Glycerin absorbs the water from the air around it, working naturally to moisturize your skin. No more gunked up pores. I don't know about you guys, but this sounds exciting to me. Castile soap allows your skin to breathe and will encourage the natural process of shedding dead skin cells. Synthetic soaps can irritate and block your pores. Castile soap keeps them clean and clear. Natural free radical protection. Olive oil is rich in antioxidants like vitamin A and vitamin E. Regular use of Castile soap can help protect against skin cell degeneration and therefore delay the appearance of wrinkles and accelerated aging. Castile soap eases eczema, psoriasis, and more. Nutrient-rich olive oil also contains a highly anti-inflammatory compound, so Castile soap can reduce inflammation, which is the source of many of our bothersome skin conditions. So I have found some top tips for soap making. So the first tip is to make sure you have everything you need at hand before you start. It would suck to get excited and get started just to realize that you're missing something. Okay, so we're going to go over some things that you may need. Some of these will look familiar from earlier on in the video. First up is some rubber gloves and protective eyewear, and then you'll need bowls that won't react with the lye. Next is a digital thermometer or temperature gun like we spoke about earlier, and a variety of mixing and measuring spoons. You will need an accurate kitchen scale because you obviously want to get the right measurements, and a soap mold. You will also need some rags or paper towel for if you spill while making your soap. The next tip is to make sure you measure all the ingredients accurately. This is to avoid mishaps. Tip number 3 is to educate yourself about the damage of lye. Lye in any form, grains, flakes or pellets, can degrade materials, strip paint, weaken textiles, and most gravely, burn your skin or eyes. Try different soap making techniques. You can control what goes into your soap, and you have a number of different options of how to make your soap, so you can try different soap making techniques if you want to. The last tip for soap making is to experiment with different recipes or even create your own. If you're making your own soap at home, you should take full advantage of the freedom in doing so. So try new and different things. The best approach is to use a basic soap recipe you like, and you can just add to it and customize it the way you want. Hey everyone, so that is it for today's online tutorial. I really hope you guys found it helpful and informative, and I really hope you enjoy watching. You can see some more videos on the website www.funwithsoap.co.za, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!